Welcome to Faith and Fire. Where we get a little closer to our faith. Rickruger, let's light it up. Oh, welcome to Faith and Fire. Come and take it higher, where we get a little closer. Lift our hearts from the fire. Through the struggle and the pain, we won't ever retire. Find your faith in the word, then we turn up the fire. Yeah, faith and fire, yeah, we taking you higher. Truth in every word, let it build that fire. From the trials to the truth, we rise up, inspire. Rickruger bring the message, now we light that fire. Faith, faith, fire. Stay in your faith, keep the fire.
Actually, Jim, that is my exact hair.
To Faith and Fire.
Yo, welcome back to Faith and Fire. I'm Rickruger, and it's been a heck of a week. It's nice to see everybody. And Jim, just for the record, if I grow my hair out and comb, that's like literally that's my real hair, bro. Like, you know what I mean? That's the real deal right there. Yo, so it's been a crazy week. It's been emotionally exhausting roller coaster. Everyone knows the situation with my grandson. So he had the surgery. He appears to be doing better. They just won't know for a little bit if everything worked and if the fix that they did and if that's gonna actually hold, you know. But I did want to share with you guys something here. My hair grows up, not down.
Let's see you slide.
What the fig?
Whoa!
You think that's funny? Take a swing at your dad? You take a swing at me? What are you, holding me an arm point now? What are you doing, you diddy sheep? You did a figgle. You did a figgle.
Yeah. Come on, show the world. Show the world. Let's see you slide.
So yeah, there he is right there. A lot of people, you guys are saying he's cute, but a lot of people say he looks like me. So let's hope that he starts looking more like his mom, my daughter here, who looks like me too. So I don't know. I think, either way, right? But let me tell you something. Even with all my health problems, right, and the situations that I've been in, health-wise, everything from going into DKA, from the diabetes to different stiff person episodes, I have yet to go through what that is to different stiff person episodes. What has happened? I have yet to go through. No, we didn't need that happening, did we? So I have yet to go through something as major as what that little boy has already been through. And just the amount of prayers and people that were there to support. I've been saying it so much, all week long. I hear you, Jay Bird. So, yeah, it's just been crazy. And I just know in my heart everything's going to be okay. I mean, I have that faith, but I am eagerly awaiting confirmation. You know what I mean? Like for them to say, okay, listen, everything worked and he's okay. He's going to be okay. You know, he's going to be okay no matter what. No matter what. So, okay. How's everybody doing this Sunday? It's real nice to see everybody, man. We got Matt, we got A Money, Jay Bird, Brother Jim, literally, brother literally. We got YH up in here. The BDR is up in here. Is that Smosh up in here? S Beats. Happy Sunday. Hey, thank you, S Beats. Thank you. Somebody else who's been showing tremendous support. A Money is somebody else. Jay Bird, somebody else. You guys are just Mosh, everybody. I can't even sit here and name all the people. I know I got over 80, almost 90 reactions on one of the posts, and so many other reactions on the other posts. And it's just so many people just pouring their hearts out. And I just I appreciate you guys more than you'll probably ever know. So, a lot of you guys know I lost my YouTube channel due to some crazy stuff, people claiming false copyright. So we took a loss, try to stop the momentum. But, so we're back with this channel here. We're fighting to get our other channel back, but whatever happens, I mean, it doesn't, if we get it back, that's great. That's obviously what we're fighting for. But if not, we will just continue on this channel and understand that whatever you want to label, okay, those the negative forces that come in, whatever words you choose to label them, would work with me. Okay, I just feel like whenever you're building, the destroyers come. Right? When it's anytime you're building, the destroyers will come. That's my godmother. He looks just like you as you did as an infant. And well, she would know. She would know. Hope you're having a great Sunday, Denise. I love you. Thanks for coming through. So yeah, whatever label you would call them, it never fails. Get some people together, get them building something positive. Hey, get some positive energy going. Start talking about things you could do to help each other, build each other, instead of instigating each other into negative actions. Start doing stuff like that, like how we were doing in our community. And I guarantee you, the destroyers, they will come running. They smell it in the air. They smell the positivity. They smell the good energy. And they can't have it. It's irritating to them. They cannot accept it. Even though you're not bothering them, even though they exist over there, you exist here, they will come to where you exist to destroy what you're trying to build. And it doesn't just apply to this setting here. Any setting that you want to apply it to. You're building a good business, you're building a positive, like whatever it is, the destroyers will come. They will try to stop you. But you can't allow it to stop you. You can't. But when it happens, right, what do? You take the loss, right? What do? Well, that's just the thing. And that's what we're going to talk about today. Okay? This is Sparta. Yeah, exactly. So today what we're going to talk about is taking a loss. Because everybody talks about winning. Everywhere you turn, winning. That's all anybody talks about. But with all this winning, right, what's going on? Somebody can't win without somebody else losing, right? So with all this winning that you have going on, there is losing going on. But you don't hear about that so much because the winners are the ones in the spotlight. They're the ones writing the story, right? But we all have been there. We've all suffered a loss. Thank the Lord that I only lost my YouTube channel. You know what I mean? In comparison to everything that was going on, right? This pales in comparison. But at any rate, this is where we are today, okay? So taking a loss, how do you bounce back? But how do you spot trouble before it even hits, right? Everybody talks about winning. Nobody talks about losing. But in order to be a winner, in order to learn how to win, I believe that you have to learn how to lose, right? So very few people know how to lose correctly. So what does that mean? I mean, they're sore losers. That could entail a bunch of stuff, but we're going to get into it. Very few people, very few people know how to survive a setback or how to rebuild after an embarrassment, which social media, this is it here. This is it. Something happens to you in your life that's embarrassing and social media gets a hold of it and forget about it. They act like something like that never happened to them ever a day in their life. What do? They share it. They ridicule. You become the star of social media for about an hour till the next poor guy comes along and now it's his turn. But few people know how to return after something like that. But how about recognizing danger before the explosion? We're going to talk about this stuff right here. Losses, we have to understand, losses are a part of any journey. You can't win without losing. See, I think playing team sports at a young age, I think this taught me a lot of stuff. And I see a lot of kids now, they're not playing the sports at the level that we were playing. And I think it's hurting in more areas than one. I learned all this stuff at a young age. I think a lot of people haven't learned this. Hey, good morning, Snide. How's it going, man? Nice to see you, bro. I hope you're having a good Sunday. Every artist suffers losses. Every creator, every business, every movement, okay? Whether it be music or a community, relationships, every dream you've ever had, okay? It will be tested. It will be tested. You as an artist will be tested. You as a creator, your business, any movement you try to back or create, your relationships, whether they be personal, romantic, business, all of that will be tested. Your dreams will be tested. The difference between people who disappear and people who rise higher is not whether they took a loss, because we're all taking losses. This notion that we're winning, everybody's winning. No, listen, we're taking losses. Everybody's taking losses. But that's not the difference between you and them. The difference is how did they respond to the loss? What did they learn from the loss? And were there signs before? Did they follow their gut? Did they recognize the signs? Some people recognize the signs and still do nothing. They see the red flag. And what do? They put the red flag in their back pocket, right? So we have to understand, a loss is not always failure, okay? Sometimes a loss is a warning. It can be a lesson. How about a redirection? Maybe you were headed in the wrong way and this is a course correction. Of course, in the moment, you don't understand. In the moment, you may not understand the plan. Or even, you know what I mean, or even be on board with it in that moment. But maybe you needed a redirection. Maybe this is God's way of doing that for you. But a loss could be a test. It could also be an exposure. Losses, fights, negative stuff. Look for the silver lining. It will expose the people who were always against you. Okay? It'll expose the people that are for you. So always look for those things in a time of loss or in a bad situation like this. Okay? Some examples could be losing supporters, losing momentum. Hey, sound familiar? Look what happened to us at Rickrugerreviews in the last 14 days, right? Losing supporters, losing momentum, public embarrassment. We talked about that. Stuff starts to get shared. You have an embarrassing moment. Maybe you write an embarrassing message to somebody. It gets publicized everywhere. Now the embarrassment is on you. Maybe you got betrayed. Maybe you're getting ignored. Maybe you're getting clowned online, right? People, hey, you know what I mean? Maybe you get clowned online, you know? Maybe people are stealing your ideas. Maybe you're burnt out or you've had a financial setback. False accusations, okay? Now, these are examples of what a loss looks like. Now, false accusations, I don't know, maybe claiming false copyright on music that you had nothing to do with, maybe something like that. Just in an attempt to shut a channel down, something like that. Yeah. So obviously, these are things I'm relating to on a personal level. Okay, platform problems, community division. We haven't had that. I'm proud to announce we haven't had that. We lost our whole channel. And within 24 hours, we were back on another channel with the same amount of viewers, the same community, everybody supporting the movement, everybody supporting each other. I don't know what that looks like currently, but other people are dealing with it. Low views, bad reviews, or personal mistakes. Bad reviews. Okay. Sometimes we got to understand that the loss is deserved. You deserve the loss. How about that? We never think we deserve it, or we never think it's our fault or nothing, right? This is happening to us. This is something horrible that's happening to us. But a lot of times we set ourselves up for it. I mean, no lie, we really do. We set ourselves up for it. Or we ignore the red flags. Sometimes we deserve to lose because of how we conducted the business that we conducted. So, what are some of the biggest mistakes somebody can make after a loss? Most people, they immediately panic, okay? They react emotionally. The first things that they feel, they act on, whether it be sending that message, making that call, doing something that you shouldn't do because you haven't thought it through. You're acting impulsively, acting on emotion. This is something that has plagued me for just about 90% of my life until I finally found a way to control myself, which is still, let me tell you, okay, it's incredibly hard for me personally to not react emotionally and to not react instantly. Okay, that is a problem that I have personally. I want to react in the moment. I will say whatever comes to my mind in that moment, and then I end up regretting it because then I think it through after the emotions have subsided and I realize I've made a mistake. Don't you make that mistake, okay? So don't react emotionally. Don't destruct. Don't self-destruct publicly. Here we go with the post and the post and the post, and then everybody online is watching you, and they're going, "Oh man, you know what I mean? Look at this guy. Look what's going on." And now you've created yourself into being publicly embarrassed. This is a road that you kind of deserved it because now you're self-destructing publicly. Then you start attacking everybody, right? Even people that you were cool with or people that weren't necessarily involved in said situation, you start lashing out, attacking everybody. The other thing another big mistake that you can make after a loss is quit. You just quit. You just say, I'm done. You know what I mean? I'm done, man. That's it. I tried. The frustration sets in, and you just say, I'm done. You know, this system, I don't like the way this works, and I think we've all been there. I think that's part of a lot of people's process. Oh, I quit. And then they, but that's the emotional response. See, really, that's tied in. That's an emotional response. Later on, you think, man, I should have really just worked through that. I shouldn't have quit. I should have kept at that. Don't sell yourself short. Don't ever sell yourself short. Another mistake you can make is pretending nothing happened. Okay? Because that will just make the original loss even worse. You need a controlled response. Okay? A controlled response is powerful. A controlled response is how you bounce back from a loss. An emotional response or explosion. If you're messing with me, it's explosion. Okay? It gives your enemies ammunition. You self-destruct publicly. Now they can say so many things. I mean, you've just handed everybody the ammunition that they need to continue whatever it is that's going on. So sometimes when you lose, it is of your own devices. It's because of something that you've done wrong. So let's not forget the important principles in this. Do not judge a person when they fall, because you will fall. You will lose. Let's be honest. We're all falling. We're all losing all of the time. What you can do is you can judge somebody by how they carry themselves while they're down and what they build afterwards. How do they come back? How many times have you seen this in, God, I hate to use this as an example, but it's like the glaring example. How many times have you seen this in Hollywood? Actor makes a comment that Hollywood doesn't agree with. Hey, let's be honest. Half the time it's a comment that the public agrees with. It's just that Hollywood doesn't agree with it. A lot of times it'll be a religious or a spiritual actor might make a comment about Jesus or something to that effect. And it doesn't go over so well. Or they'll make a racist comment or whatever. Actor, actress makes comment, gets what? Canceled. They're gone a couple years, right? Whatever. And then you see them building themselves back, right? That's just the easiest example of what I've seen when people coming back from said embarrassment, okay? So, when we're talking about losses, we have to remember there are different types of losses, okay? The loss that I was alluding to, we'll call that the self-inflicted loss, all right? This comes from your ego, you being lazy, not following through on your process. It might come from arrogance. It might come from ignoring warnings. You're seeing the red flags. You tunnel vision. You know what happens? I think that we want the end result so bad that we just tunnel through all of the red flags, all of the things that tell us, hey, wait a minute, you should take a look at this. I think that we want the end result so bad that we just put our heads down and we just, we just barrel through. Well, that's bad because that can set you up for a loss. All right, bad habits, a bad temper, and lack of discipline will kill anything that you're trying to do, anything that you're trying to succeed in, any movement you're trying to create will be killed by all of these things, okay? And examples of these things are disrespecting your supporters. If you have a platform and you don't value the people that show up for you constantly, that could be an example of that. I see that all over the place. Not preparing properly for whatever goal you're setting or whatever. Overspending this one's not talked about enough, right? The financial aspect of it. It's never talked about enough. Burning bridges, okay? Now, burning bridges in your personal life, that might be one thing. If there's a situation and you find yourself like, well, we talked about it. You forgive the person, but you decided that you don't want to move forward in that relationship. So that's one thing. I wouldn't necessarily call that burning a bridge. Burning a bridge, business relationships they kind of come to mind, although obviously this applies to every aspect of your life, as well as addiction and inconsistency. Addiction will stop your goal because when you're addicted, whatever you're addicted to, ultimately, that is your goal. Nothing else is your goal. I remember in a movie called Get 'Em to the Greek, and I'll never forget it because it was said so matter-of-factly. It was so funny, right? The one guy's supposed to get the other guy to a concert. For those of you that don't know the story, it's a drug addict artist and a music label person who's supposed to get the drug addict to the concert on time. So obviously the drug addict, there's problems. You know what I mean? So for y'all that haven't seen it, the music label guy, he's got this itinerary, and he's writing all these things on this list, right? And the drug addict's like, that must be, what I mean, that's a crazy list, that's baffling. You know what I mean? There's only one thing on my list, and that's heroin or whatever it was. I think it was heroin in the movie. So you would have to see it, but it was funny the way it was delivered. The guy's going crazy trying to figure out everything he's going to do in that day, how he's going to squeeze everything into the time. And the drug addict's like, that must be crazy trying to figure out all that. He's like, I only got one thing I got to figure out. So you can't get anywhere with an addiction, okay? Inconsistency is another one. Following through 1 week, but not following through the next, or not like purpose, like you're setting goals for yourself, but you're not really you're not really working towards that goal. That's going to kill you. I mean, obviously. At the end of the day, we have to realize that honesty matters, okay? You cannot fix what you refuse to admit. So if you're not honest about whatever of these things that you're suffering from, there's no way to fix that. Excuse me. All right, number 2 is the ambush loss, okay? First was the self-inflicted loss. This is the ambush loss, okay? This comes from outside, all right? Look at number 1, trolls, okay? I had to put this number 1, trolls. We were ambushed by trolls, a.k.a. destroyers. I call them destroyers. They might think that name is too cool or something, but I don't care. That's what they do. They come to destroy. All right? The ambush loss comes from trolls. It comes from false narratives, often created by who? Trolls. Sabotage. Right? Now, I'm speaking from an online perspective. I'm speaking from a content creator mindset because this is what happened to me. But false narratives can destroy you in any aspect of your life. People do it to you all over the place, at your place of employment, whatever the case may be. People will try to get you up out of there, and false narratives is a way that they try to do so. Sabotage. Well, that is the meaning of an ambush loss. It comes from nowhere, okay? Betrayal, jealous people. The jealous people are the destroyers, okay? That's really, I think that is what's at the root of it, is that there's unity, and that's something that's foreign to them. And when they see it, it's irritating, okay? And they become jealous, and then they do what? They sabotage. whether it comes through false narratives or whatever the case, okay? Manipulation is another one, okay? Manipulation is another ambush attack from the outside that maybe you weren't prepared for. Now, all of these things, most of these things rather, could come with red flags. Jealous people could come with a red flag that maybe you ignored. Okay, betrayal, all of these things, there can be stuff that you can look for. We spoke about all that in previous episodes, which are now gone. Hopefully not forever. But you could maybe spot some of that coming. But some of this you can't. The trolls and the bad actors and stuff, like, sometimes you can't spot them coming, okay? Because they already know about you before you know about them. So not everybody around you wants you to win. Let's try to remember that. Some people study your weaknesses while pretending to support you. That's crazy. I don't think that does not happen in my community. I'm happy to say that. I am so happy to say that is not happening in my community. Number 3 is the growth loss. All right? I think we've all experienced this. This one I think might be pretty relatable also. The growth loss, this is what happens when your old level can no longer support the new goals. Okay? Examples of this is outgrowing old circles. The people you used to hang with. Maybe they're still dealing in the same old. And what do you want to do? Well, you're ready to elevate your life. You're ready to start building. Maybe you're ready to start a business. Maybe you want to get back in the church. Maybe you want to start coaching kids soccer. You know what I mean? Like who knows? Like, maybe you want to do something different. Okay? And so the circle that you're currently in, they're holding you back, for lack of a better term. Okay? Another thing that can happen, another example of growth loss is changing direction, which I think ties into, I think a lot of these tie into each other. Outgrowing old circles. Restructuring your platform and learning hard lessons publicly. Yeah, when you're a content creator and you're out there, you do have to learn your lessons publicly. Okay, everything that happens to you is public. I'm on here. I'm showing my face. Unfortunately for you, you have to look at my face. But listen, which makes the fact that you guys are here with me, I think, even greater. Because look at everything you have to overcome just to hear the message. Okay? You have to look at my fat face, my fat, ugly face, for all this time. I mean, honestly, everything that you guys are doing, you guys are really proving that, that you'll go into the face of darkness. You know what I mean? To hear the word. So, shouts out to you guys, man. I could always wear a mask. That would be funny, right? So, we do learn our lessons publicly when we're content creators. That's how it applies to me personally. But we have to stop for a second, because when it comes to growth loss, I would argue that they're not losses at all. Okay? They're actually transitions into a new, better you. If the old you, okay, couldn't keep up with the new goals that you're setting, I believe that's a good thing. I wouldn't necessarily take it as a loss, other than you're losing your old mindset. You're losing the way that you did things in the past, and now you're ready to grow. Really, what you're losing are the things that are holding you back, ultimately, right? So, for me, there could be positive. Me always trying to find the silver lining in bad things. There could be a lot of positive to take away from the growth loss, okay? Number 4 is the necessary loss. Okay. Now we're gonna talk. Now this is the realest ever right here, man. Sometimes something has to collapse. Sometimes it's over. It just is. Whether it's a business, a relationship, personal, or romantic, or whatever the example that you want to give. Sometimes it's time for things to collapse, and we're talking toxic partnerships again, whether they be friendships or whether they be romantic. Unhealthy habits. Okay, sometimes they have to go. Weak systems and fake supporters. Not every loss should be recovered from. Some things are meant to just let go. Right? You don't even need to recover from some losses. Again, to me, that's just another sign of growth. Okay? You're shedding pieces of your old self. You're replacing them with new pieces of yourself, which are smarter and more open and ready to grow. And for me, that's really not a loss. It's not a bad loss, because it's a loss that has to happen in order for you to grow. So, boom. How do we spot a loss before it even happens? Well, truth is, you can't always spot a loss. That's why one of the categories that I came up with was the ambush loss, okay? Because if it's an ambush, you can't spot it. But some of the other ones, that was 1 out of 4. Some of the other ones do come with red flags, okay? You got to pay attention to the patterns. Big collapses rarely happen like overnight, okay? Institutions, large businesses, large mega churches, insert whatever example. It doesn't just blow up overnight. Well, unless something, listen, there are, you know what I mean? Typically, these big collapses do not happen instantly, okay? Usually there's warnings. There's tension. There's silence. There's confusion. There's energy shifts. I talk about that one a lot. The energy shift is a major talking point, because that's something that I can see. That's something that I can feel. I stop listening to words and I start looking at actions. I start feeling the energy. I start looking at what's going on with my eyes rather than hearing what they're saying with their mouth, okay? Look for the energy shifts, because they don't lie. They just don't lie. If somebody has a betrayal in their heart that's coming for you, 9 times out of 10, there will be an energy shift before the betrayal happens. I can almost guarantee it. If there's no energy shift before it happens, you got to watch out. That person's super dangerous. That person's been at this for a while, and that person's been doing it. You know what I mean? Like, they've perfected this. Most of the time, when someone knows they're going to betray you, there's an energy shift. And if you're perceptive enough, you might just be able to spot it, okay? Repeated problems. These are patterns that you have to look for. If you're looking for a collapse that's coming, okay, or a loss that's coming, whether it be in your personal or professional life, pay attention to these patterns. A pattern of tension, a pattern of silence. Not silence for an hour, a pattern of silence, okay? Increasing negativity around you. You start hearing it all, okay? But these are patterns, not one day, okay, over a period of time. Okay, look for people to have emotional exhaustion. They just don't want to deal with anything. Okay, these are signs that a collapse is coming. If the same issues keep appearing, it's trying to teach you something. It's trying to show you what is getting ready to happen. Watch how people act during the small problems. okay? Small situations, they can reveal larger truth, okay? Watch who disappears. Watch who gossips. Watch who escalates drama rather than escalating solutions. Look who secretly enjoys the chaos. Some people do. Some people will just sit back, start a fire, and that's it. Then they just have a seat. And they like to watch the firemen, you know what I mean? Like, and I'm speaking figuratively, okay? Although there are people out there that starting fires, but I'm speaking figuratively, okay? They like to start a fire and watch all of the chaos that ensues, okay? They enjoy it. They sit in the corner and they watch, okay? This is real life. I know people like this. I know people like this, okay? Look for the ones that only show up for the success, okay? Not the problems. Pressure will always reveal a person's true character. People can talk a lot of game, right? But when the pressure hits, that's when you got to start watching. You got to start watching when small things happen first, okay? Learn the signs. The next thing, learn the signs of burnout. Before a major crash, a lot of people will experience exhaustion, irritability, lack of motivation, brain fog, emotional overreactions, and hopelessness. Sometimes the loss that is coming is internal, not external. Okay? The loss is inside because you've burnt out. Now you're lacking in creativity, maybe, if you're a content creator. If you're in a business aspect, you may lack motivation, okay? You may just be flat out exhausted and just sick of it. You know, I often wonder to myself, those guys that have those crazy jobs like the Deadliest Catch, or the guys that have to go real high up to build skyscrapers, or, you know, I often wondered myself, are those back-breaking jobs where they're just cutting trees down all day, just back-breaking physical labor, the motivation that they have to get up every morning and go do that. Obviously, the motivation is their family and taking care and being a good father and all of those things, but just think about the motivation that you must have to get up and do that every day, okay, every single day. So watch for the ego inflation. Success can create blindness, okay? People start getting content in success and they don't see the situations that are going bad. I see this a lot in football. A team that's winning, you hear this in football all the time. Winning solves all the problems. Don't you hear them people say that on there? Shannon Sharp, all these people that play football, they're like, hey, listen, man, when you win, that solves everything. But when you start losing in the locker room, now all the problems start coming to the surface. I cannot find a better analogy for this than a football locker room, okay? Success can create blindness. The danger signs of blindness during success can be believing that criticism never matters. Sometimes you feel like that. You're like, you know what? I don't care. I don't care. But not all criticism is coming from a hateful place. Not all criticism is coming from bad actors and jealous individuals, okay? Every once in a while, someone that loves you is going to criticize you. So understand that some criticism does matter. But when you're winning and winning and winning, you start to believe that you're even above criticism. And you start to believe you're untouchable even. And how about when you start winning and you stop taking advice? You stop doing the things that got you to where you are. How many times have we seen this? It's like you're there now, and now you feel like, oh, well, I don't need I don't need anybody anymore. But that's impossible, because how did you get to where you are? So never forget that. And don't stop refusing advice. That's some of the dumbest things you could do. Another thing is you start to surround yourself with yes men, people that just agree with every little thing you say. They never call you on anything. They never say, man, don't say that, don't do that. Hey, that's going to hurt you. I don't want to see you suffer for that in the future. You shouldn't post that. You shouldn't say that, right? You can't surround yourself with yes men because they will yes men you all the way into the grave, okay? As they're lowering you into the dirt, they're yes men, yep, okay? So you cannot surround yourself with yes men. You need to surround yourself with a couple people that'll tell you, hey, man, that's wrong. You know what I mean? Like, you shouldn't have done that. That's wrong or whatever. To me, those are real friends. Another way that you can suffer is underestimating your competitors, okay? Thinking that you're winning so much that nobody can touch you. Well, listen, as you're winning, people are learning. People that want to win too, they're learning from how you're winning. And what they're doing is, as times start to change, they're looking at your formula and they start tweaking what you're doing. I've seen this, okay? I've seen this. And if you don't make those adjustments yourself, a competitor will come out of nowhere. And this is more in the business aspect, obviously. And one thing that'll kill you is overestimating loyalty. Okay? This one scares me because right now I'm surrounded by a community of individuals that I've never seen this level of loyalty and brotherhood amongst a group of people probably ever online. Other people in my group have said the same. Other people come from other communities into our community, and they say the same thing. They say that the loyalty and the brotherhood is absolutely unmatched. So this one scares me because I don't believe that I'm overestimating loyalty. I believe that my community has done enough for me to know and trust their loyalty. But this is a mistake that some people could make. You could overestimate the loyalty of the people around you. The higher someone climbs without humility, the harder the fall usually becomes. Okay? So if you're stepping on backs and doing whatever you got to do to get to the top and your ego is inflated, just know that that fall on the way down is really going to hurt. All right, so how do we spot divisive tactics? Okay? Communities and teams often get attacked through division. Now, I said this live when the trolls came, when the destroyers showed up. I said this. I said they're going to try to divide us. Lo and behold, I started to get emails, and they started to say, hey, that guy that you think is so cool in your group, well, such and such and such and such and such and such, right? I immediately deleted the email, and I did not even respond because I recognized immediately what the destroyers were trying to do. They were trying to destroy. They wanted to separate us by division. So I quickly hit delete, and I went about my day. Now, some people, you get caught up in that. You don't want to get caught up in that. I know I'm not. You know what I mean? Nobody can tell me anything about anybody that's around me, okay? Because I've already, lived, you know what I mean? Like, I'm with them. Like, you can't, like, especially something so outlandish like that. So, tactics that they use to try to, stir the division up within your communities or your team or your business a lot of times competitors do it to each other in businesses. They start spreading rumors, right? They spread rumors and then they force people to choose sides. Watch out for those people. Watch out for the people that insist that you choose a side, because they're trying to lock you into something on the spot, and they don't want you using your brain and thinking for yourself, okay? So they'll spread rumors, and they'll create sides, and they'll try to lock you into a side. They start baiting emotional reactions. They start encouraging paranoia. They may isolate leaders of communities or teams or churches. They start twisting words. Okay, well, he said this, and then that's not quite what you said, and they were able to run with it. What did they do? They created a false narrative, right? They clip statements out of context, which I believe is also sort of like twisting words. They may use the end of a sentence and not the beginning of a sentence, all in order to lock in their narrative against you. What you have to do is you have to trust your repeated intuition. Sometimes your spirit notices danger before your brain even does. So if something feels consistently wrong, it probably is, okay? Let's investigate calmly. Gather information, avoid the paranoia. Oh my God, they're plotting against me. Let's stop that. Let's have a calm reaction, a non-emotional reaction. Investigate what's going on calmly, okay? Ask calm questions. Gather your information, okay? But do not ignore your instincts. Act on your instincts. Okay, so that's a loss. That's how to spot a loss and all of that. So how do you bounce back from a loss? Number one, you have to accept the reality quickly. Denial, that wastes energy, because the whole time that you're denying what has happened, you could have literally been finding a solution, already building back, already with a course correction, many, many different things. So accept your reality quickly. The quicker that you accept your reality, the quicker you're moving forward, the quicker you're rebuilding, okay? You cannot rebuild on fantasy. You're not in a rebuilding phase if you're denying that it happened, okay? I think this is really important, super important. You got to stop the bleeding first. Okay? So how do you accept the reality? Stop the bleeding first, number one. Before rebuilding, you got to stabilize, okay? Examples of that could be rest, okay? Maybe you take a step back. You take a step back, you regroup. You know what I mean? First, you rest. Take a step back and you rest. Get your mind right. Start getting your thoughts together, okay? Understand what happened to you. Start accepting the reality of it. Then the next thing you can do, if it's a business thing or financial thing, protect your finances. Cut that credit card off. Close that bank account. Whatever you need to do, protect your finances. Okay, that is super important. I don't care that is really important. Next, protect your mental health. Okay, protect your mental health. Now, my brother Jim talks about this. I actually agree 100% with him. Protect your mental health translates to protect your peace. Now, there's people using this phrase incorrectly. There's people that are doing things to other people. And then when it's time for accountability and the people come and they want to have a conversation with you about accountability, now you want to protect your peace. Okay, that's not what that means. All right? Protect your peace means protect yourself from the outside noise that's coming in. Okay? Just put an end to that. Protect your peace doesn't mean protect your accountability. Okay, people get that stuff mixed up. But at any rate, all right, protect your mental health. Avoid posting online. I would say anything. I would say if you suffer a major loss outside of someone passing away or something like that, I'm talking about a major loss in your life, job, whatever. I would advise you not to post anything on social media for a few days, but definitely do not post anything emotional. Do not talk about the situation. I just saw something like this on Facebook this week. Some guys getting into it. Another guy afterwards, hey, I shouldn't have said that. It all playing out like for everybody to watch publicly. Everything that we've covered on here, they're literally doing the opposite of everything that I'm saying you shouldn't do, they're doing. So, and I know you guys see all this stuff on whatever social platform that you're on. Come on, you see it. It's everywhere, all right? Tighten your circle, okay? Tighten your circle. You suffered the loss. This is how you stop the bleeding, all right? This is how you bounce back. Tighten the circle of people that are important to you, okay? Reinforce those ties, okay? Let those people know, whatever it is, however you do it, strengthen your circle in that moment, okay? And then you regain clarity. Now you can see everything for what it really was, because in the initial moments, everything is emotional. You cannot see clearly through emotional lenses. Trust me, I know. It's cost me a lot. My freedom mostly, but it's cost me a lot. So, separate emotion from strategy. The pain of what you feel, the mourning of the loss, that's the emotion, okay? But recovery is strategic. I don't think the two mesh together very well at all. So ask yourself, what really happened? What really happened? And I don't mean like the end result. I was fired. I lost the record deal. Whatever. What happened? How did you lose whatever it was? Who were the players involved? What part of your actions may have led to the downfall? Never forget that part, all right? What part was outside of my control? Ask yourself these things. What can I improve? What must never happen again? What will you never allow? What has now become a boundary? These things are important. So, you have to rebuild consistently. People recover through repetition, consistency, not motivation. Motivation without act or without attacking your goals is nothing. Okay? Small, consistent actions is what's going to lead to the rebuild. Small, consistent actions such as showing up, improving, creating, training on new things, learning new things, networking, meeting new people, okay? And staying disciplined. I think that's a really big one, staying disciplined. Regain your focus, regain your clarity, and stay disciplined. Consistency rebuilds confidence. Once you have your confidence back, that's it. It's a wrap. It's a wrap for everybody else involved. And we know that. We know that because you know that you are that dude or that dudette. You know you are. You know what I do? Here's what I do. I didn't even know this was a healthy thing to do. I don't even know why I thought that this was toxic for so long. But what I do is I take the loss and I use it as fuel. I use it as motivation. I dwell on it, but in a way, I don't dwell in it with no action. Maybe a poor choice of words. I dwell in it in the sense where I don't forget. I don't forget what they did. I don't forget what they said. I may have forgiven them. I may have moved on in my life from it, but mentally, I'm using it as fuel. Okay, I did not know that this was a healthy thing to do. I thought it was toxic, but turns out it's not so toxic to use your losses as motivation, as fuel. People become stronger because of it. How many people go on to have suffered such a like early in life a horrible situation, and then they just to overcome it and go on to do incredibly great things. You hear these stories all the time. Okay, you hear this stuff all the time. All right, you can literally take rejection, embarrassment, setbacks, and betrayal. You could take your failure, you could eat it and turn it into fuel. Or you could let it poison you. You know what I mean? You can let it poison you, or you can let it sharpen you. And that choice matters. That choice is the difference between laying down and wearing it or standing up and owning it and rebuilding. At the end of the day, you have to protect who you are. You can't let a loss change you. Protect your identity. A loss should never become your entire identity, okay? You're not one bad performance, okay? You're not one bad stream. That doesn't sum you up. One mistake, one failed project, a betrayal, okay, an embarrassing moment. These things do not define you. They may define that moment, that hour. Hey, that hour, I had a bad hour. Okay, whatever. We don't really think like that, but we should. Okay? Do not allow these things to define who you are as a person moving forward. Temporary losses become permanent only when people stop moving. Okay? You know, people like see other people go through something and they're like, wow, I don't know how they ever, I could never. But right, I could never. I've said that so many times. They stop moving. And now that loss, that last loss that they suffered, that's just it. That's the last. They let it take them out. That's the knockout punch. When really it doesn't have to be. You know what I mean? You can stand up, you can rebuild, but they wallow in it, and it does become the end of the road for them. It does become the final loss, so to speak. So there's a mental war after you suffer one of these losses, right? I think we can all agree, right? There's a voice in your head after a failure. I hate that voice, right? After a loss, you hear, you're finished. Nobody cares. What are you even doing? You embarrassed yourself. That's all you're going to do is keep embarrassing yourself. It's over. Why are you even doing this? What is the point of all this? You'd be surprised how many people listen to that voice. That voice, I don't care what label you put on that voice, and maybe I'm wrong. To me, that voice, that's Satan. Okay? That's Satan. That is Satan. To me, okay, that is Satan putting negativity in your head and trying to keep you down in a negative place, because that's what he enjoys. Because when you're in those negative places and you're down, guess where you're not? You're not with God. And that's ultimately what the devil wants, okay? Period. Tell me I'm lying. If I'm lying, I'm flying. And let me tell you something. It's going to take a lot of something to get this up in the air going, all right? So if I'm lying, I'm flying. And trust me, I ain't flying no time soon. Understand emotional timing, okay? Right after a loss, the emotions begin to lie to you. Everything feels worse. The situation feels bigger than it is. It feels permanent. It's like forever, right? This is the new norm now, right? And it feels hopeless, man. Don't make permanent decisions during emotional storms because these moments will pass. What you feel today, you may not feel next month. Today you feel worse and you feel like this is permanent, right? Next month you may feel like, well, wait a minute, that was bad. You know, I'm starting to come out of it a little bit. I know you've all felt that, okay? We've all felt it. I think that we need to put ourselves in a comeback mindset, okay? Strong people, they understand a lot of things. They understand that recovery takes time. Rebuilding takes patience. It's not going to happen overnight. It took our channel. We lost all our subs. We lost all our content, albums and work and everything that I've done. Rebuilding that is not going to be overnight, okay? It's going to take patience, something that I am not proficient in, okay? So it's going to take patience, okay? Respect can return. Momentum can return. Confidence can return. These are things that strong people understand. You lost today, you can win tomorrow. You lost your momentum, the momentum can come back. I started telling myself that in my personal situation. A comeback will never happen instantly unless you hit the lottery. And even then, who knows, right? But your confidence can return. And it happens through persistence. And once you get your confidence back, forget about it. That's it for everybody. You know what I mean? Once you get your confidence back, I got my sugar going low. Y'all bear with me. All right, so everybody wants the spotlight during victory. But true character is revealed during the struggle. A real winner is not someone who never loses, but a real winner is someone who learns, adapts, stays grounded, protects their spirit, and keeps moving forward even when they're taking hits, okay? Don't let yourself stop moving forward. And understand that losses can humble you, educate you, strengthen you. One of my personal favorites, expose fake people and prepare you for larger responsibilities. Sometimes the setback is preparing you for a stronger version of yourself. And we don't understand that in the moment, right? We never get that in the moment because we're too busy mourning the loss and not understanding what's happening moving forward. The Lord is working for you in every aspect of your life. We don't understand it always, and we don't always see it in that moment. How many times later have we looked back and said, oh, that's why, right? How many times? So understand that pressure does not create character, but rather pressure reveals it. And every loss is actually an opportunity to decide who you want to become next. Okay? So, as always on Faith and Fire, we take a topic, we talk about how it pertains to us in our everyday life, and then we talk about the topic and how it's tied into Scripture. So the topic today was taking a loss, and now we're going to transition over to the spiritual aspect of it. And what does the Bible say? What does Jesus say about taking a loss? Because I think this stuff is pretty important, all right? So, one of the biggest lies people believe is, if I follow God, I'll never go through hardship. I heard my brother talking about this the other day. I was a little inspired by it, but it's true. Because a lot of people think that once they follow God's calling, that because they're following God's calling, that things might get easier, that things might just be simple. And what I'm finding out is actually the opposite of that. Is when you choose to follow God's path. I think this is when things get harder for you. This is when things get harder. So that's not an accurate notion that if you follow God, things will be easier. Okay, because they won't be. And that's not what Jesus taught. Jesus never promised that you would have follow me, you'll have a painless life, a trouble-free journey. You know what I mean? You'll be super successful, right? Is that what he did when he went to Matt and he said, "Follow me"? Did he say those things? Follow me. You'll have a painless life. Follow me. You're going to be super successful now if you follow me. No. In fact, quite the opposite. What Jesus said was, follow me, and there'll be trials, there'll be persecution, there'll be testing, hardship, betrayal, suffering. Those were the things that Jesus promised. Excuse me. But he also promised, if you followed him, that there would be peace, that you would have victories, that you would gain strength, there'd be eternal hope, and that he would never leave you. And he never has. Now, what did Jesus himself experience? Rejection. He came to, and they just rejected him. They acted, like, imagine that. They had their own list for what they felt the Messiah should be. So when Jesus came and he wasn't fulfilling their list, they decided they didn't want that Messiah, right? They didn't want that Messiah. So Jesus suffered rejection. He suffered betrayal. We all know the story of Judas. It's one of the first stories that I remember remembering as a kid in the Bible. It's one of the first things that I think I was taught was the story of Judas. False accusations. Well, I mean, this is what Jesus ate for breakfast every morning. Loneliness, humiliation, physical suffering. Can we even stop for a minute to imagine the physical suffering? And ultimately his death. Okay? So if Jesus suffered, why do we think we're not going to suffer at times? Why do we think we're above any hardships? Loss is a part of life. In a sinful world, this is a fallen world. Okay? Loss is a part of it because of how we live. But through Christ, loss does not have to destroy you. Through Christ, remember, Christ will make you whole. Christ is the Redeemer. You get what I'm saying? So, Jesus did warn us about trouble in the Bible. Jesus said trouble would come. John 16, verse 33. In this world ye shall have tribulation, but be of good cheer. I have overcome the world. So, what Jesus is telling you is this world is going to beat you down. This world is going to come for you. This world is going to try to hold you back. But don't trip, because I've already defeated the world. Okay? Let that sink in. I've already defeated the world. I've already overcome the world. Jesus did not say maybe either. He said, you shall have tribulation. You will have tribulation. And that means personal attacks, disappointments, setbacks, losses, grief, pressure, betrayal, hardships, all of those things. If Jesus went through it, what would make you think that you wouldn't have to experience any hardships at all in your personal life? It's the way the world works. It's a fallen world. It's a world of sin. That's why, I'm sorry, but that's why when I hear people say, well, why did God allow that? oh, that person died, they were a good person, why did God allow that? Never, it's always on God, but they never stop for a second and put it on sin or the world of sin or where we live or the devil or Satan. Never. It's always God, God, God. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, it's really triggers me a little bit. Sorry. So when you go through these hardships, just understand that God is still there. Remember when the disciples were in the storm? I talked about this on the very first episode of Faith and Fire. This is how I kicked off the whole series, okay? I talked about getting out of the boat, how I'm finally getting out of the boat. You know what I mean? Like, I had a whole thing, right? I wish I could refer you back to that video, but, right. So in Mark 4, verse 37 through 40, the storm was raging. The boat was filling with water, and the disciples panicked. Jesus was still there. All right? I don't know who needs to hear this. Me. I need to hear this. Just because your life feels stormy does not mean Jesus abandoned your boat. Okay? He's there with you during the storm. Jesus said people would hate and they would betray. Matthew 10:22. And ye shall be hated for all the men for my name's sake. So what he's saying is, you'll be hated because of me, because you were associated with me. This hate will come. Luke 17, verse 1. It is impossible, but the offenses will come. Jesus was warning us, okay, that people will disappoint you. People will betray you. People will offend you. Attacks will happen. This is all pre-warned. This is out of the mouth of the Lord and Savior, okay? So when the loss comes, do not act shocked like God lost control, okay? Because he didn't. Understand that Jesus was rejected. Isaiah 53, verse 3. He is despised and rejected of men. Jesus understands rejection probably better than anybody thinks, or anybody could imagine, okay? Some people today, they lose friendships, they lose support, they lose opportunity, they may lose their reputation. All of those things you can build back. Relationships. But Jesus understands pain personally, okay? Understand the rejection of coming to save the world and having the world go, no thanks. In particular, the Jews of that time, they were looking for a Messiah that was going to destroy Rome and reestablish, Israel, lead them out of the of the under control of the Romans, free them essentially from the Romans. But when Jesus said, "I didn't come to free you from the Romans are temporary. I came to free you from sin. I came to free you from death." Imagine that, and then the people were like, that sounds all right, but we want this. We want this. So he was rejected essentially by his own people, and then later by basically the world. One of his own disciples betrayed him. My favorite disciple. This is not my favorite story, but it happened. So we have to think about that. One of Jesus' own disciples betrayed him, okay? Jesus healed people. He fed people, did miracles, raised people from the dead, and still got betrayed, okay? So you can't believe or never think to yourself, if I'm not good enough, nobody will hurt me, okay? Because they will. They will hurt you. Even perfect love was betrayed. Jesus offered perfect love, not just with words, but through demonstration, offering perfect love everywhere he went. And he was still rejected. He was still betrayed. He was still treated poorly. He was still attacked. Coming with perfect love. That is encouraging and also discouraging to me. It's sad that somebody could come with that sort of demeanor and all that love and still be rejected and attacked the way he was. But what did Jesus do? He didn't respond with bitterness as we would have. When he was attacked, he didn't become hateful as we would have. Luke 23, verse 24. Father, forgive them, for they know not what they do. That is like supernatural strength. Weakness, that's what wants revenge. Weakness seeks revenge. Strength, it seeks God. Man, that's heavy right there. Wow. Weakness seeks revenge, and strength seeks God's. Now, I never thought that I'd be writing these kind of bars. Okay? From writing music bars, doing rap music and writing rap bars, I never thought I would write these kind of bars. But I've been called to do a different kind of writing now. So throughout all of that, Jesus stayed on focus. He stayed focused on his goal and the purpose. Even during the suffering, Jesus stayed focused on his mission. Some people lose a battle and abandon the whole thing, right? They abandon the whole thing. Jesus carried the cross. He didn't stop in the middle of it. Hey, I changed my mind. This is too much. None of that, okay? He carried the cross anyway. So according to Jesus and according to the Bible, how do you handle a loss correctly? Well, number one, your first thing you should do is bring your pain to God. Matthew 11, verse 28. Come unto me, all that labor and all heavy laden, and I will give you rest. Okay, God already knows your anger. He knows your sadness. He knows what you're feeling, the confusion, the exhaustion, but bring it to him honestly. He already knows, but bring it to him honestly. Number two, don't let the loss turn into bitterness. This is tough to do, all right? Bitterness destroys people spiritually. Matthew 6, verse 14 through 15. Jesus taught forgivingness repeatedly. That does not mean pretending evil is good, allowing abuse, or trusting dangerous people blindly. But hatred poisons the person carrying it. So even though you don't have to trust these people or you don't have to allow the abuse, we've talked about all this before. Some of these topics, they have overlapping points, but it is what it is. It all ties in together. Don't let the hatred, don't let the bitterness turn to hatred, which then in turns turns to poison. And it literally poisons the person that's carrying it. Number three, don't panic. These are ways to correctly handle a loss. Don't panic. Matthew 6, verse 27. Which of you, taking thought, can add 1 cubit undone his stature? Now, some of this stuff is confusion. I get it. Worry alone fixes nothing. Okay? So, you got to understand that the worrying and the fear, that clouds your judgment. Panic, all of that destroys wisdom. If you're panicking and you're in that state, you're not in a wise state. If you're out of control emotionally, you're not getting ready to utter some prolific words, okay? It's probably not going to happen. You're probably going to utter some nonsense, as so many of us have done. So number 4 is seek God first. Instead of revenge, seek God. Instead of validation, seek God. Okay? Instead of trying to rebuild your finances right away, seek God. What's going on with the stream? Okay, there it is. I thought we lost the stream for a second. All right, so instead of trying to rebuild your finances, seek God first. Instead of worrying about your pride, seek God first. This is what Jesus said. Seek God first. Literally, that's what he said. Seek God first. Try to stay humble in the hardship. A lot of times the hardship will, that will humble you. Because a loss has a way of exposing pride. Sometimes God allows struggle for us to mature from, to humble us, to strengthen our character. Remember we talked about how you could take one of these losses, use it as fuel, rebuild yourself. You don't have to let it take you down. After a loss, guard your heart. Matthew 15, verse 18, 19. Jesus taught us that evil flows from the heart. After a loss, people become hateful, jealous, paranoid, cruel, lacking happiness. Yeah. Excuse me. That's a big one. Lacking happiness. So how do you overcome a loss through Christ? Remember that an earthly loss is temporary. Jesus constantly taught us about eternity. Matthew 6, verse 19 through 20. Lay not up for yourselves treasures upon earth. Lay not up for yourselves treasures upon earth. So this means money, fame, popularity, your status, your possessions, all of that can disappear. But God's promises, the salvation, that is eternal. Jesus' promise, that sacrifice, that is eternal. That is forever. That covenant that we have with God through Jesus is forever. And nothing can ever break that. And that's what Jesus meant by, I have already overcome the world. The world has been defeated by Jesus Christ. We've already won. And I think people, when people start to understand that, I think that's a motivational point. That really helps inspire success. I really do. God can bring good from the suffering. The cross looked like a defeat. The devil was happy. The cross looked like a defeat. But, psych, it became a victory. Because what looked like humiliation and what looked like destruction turned out to become salvation for the world. Never underestimate what God can redeem, okay? What your loss looks like today could end up looking like an incredible victory down the line. The devil thought he had God beat, but God had a trick up his sleeve. Now faith during hardship, that's what's powerful. Matthew 17, verse 20. For ye have faith as a grain of mustard seed. Faith is not pretending pain doesn't exist, okay? What faith means is that you're trusting God despite the pain. That's what faith is. When you feel the pain, when you feel the hardship, like this week when my grandbaby was laying there getting liver surgery, okay, and I didn't know what was going to happen, but I knew, and I trusted in God, okay, and I let my faith guide the way. Because who am I to judge or to question God's plan? I'm no one. And my grandson is okay today. And I have faith that he will continue to be okay. So you got to keep pushing forward, okay? Jesus repeatedly told people, rise, walk, follow me, go forward, and have no fear. The enemy wants loss to freeze you permanently, but God calls you to continue. Okay? When the trolls come and they took my channel, they wanted me to stop. They didn't want these words out here every Sunday. Okay? They didn't want me to keep going. Okay? Despite the week that I've had, they didn't want me to show up this week and talk to y'all. But I'm guaranteed that I'm not going to stop talking about this, no matter what happens. You cannot allow yourself to be defined by one defeat, okay? My favorite disciple, Peter, denied Jesus 3 times, yet Jesus restored him, okay? Failure was not Peter's final identity. And your worst moment does not have to define your future either, okay? Christ already won the ultimate victory. So for you to be feeling defeated is crazy to me, okay? John 19, verse 30, it is finished. When Jesus died on the cross, sin lost, death lost, Satan lost. The resurrection proved that loss is not always the end of the story. Jesus' entire story of death and resurrection is an example of what we go through in life. It is an example of what happens when we accept Jesus Christ as our Lord and Savior. Signs of a spiritual loss, sometimes you can see it coming. Jesus warned us about deception. Matthew 24, verse 4. Take heed that no man deceive you. Watch for certain stuff. Watch for pride. Watch for spiritual laziness, hatred, isolation from God. Watch for compromises, unforgivingness. Watch for constant state of anger. Because at that point, there's just a lot that goes into that, okay? And also temptation. Spiritual collapses usually begin internally before they show externally. Watch the company that you keep. Matthew shows Judas amongst the disciples. Not everybody close to you is for you. Discernment is what matters. Watch the company that you keep. Stay spiritually awake. Jesus repeatedly said, watch. And what that meant was stay alert, pray, stay grounded, stay spiritually awake. Everybody in life is going to take a loss. But with Jesus, loss is not the end. Suffering is not meaningless, failure is not final, and pain is not wasted. The cross teaches us what death can look like when you rise again. Some people listening today, you guys feel exhausted. Some of you feel embarrassed, broken. Some of you feel attacked. You feel forgotten. All of us are feeling overwhelmed. But Jesus still says in John 14, verse 1, let not your heart be troubled. I am with you always. Not sometimes, not a little bit, not when things are going good. Always. When you, even in a loss, even in failure, even in heartbreak, and even when you're rebuilding, okay? Never forget those words. Heal your wounded hearts. Restore your broken spirits. Protect yourself from bitterness. Help us all remember that through Christ, none of us are ever truly defeated. That's what I want for you guys. I want you guys to remember all of those things. I want you to ask God to heal your wounded hearts, to restore your broken spirits, to protect you from bitterness. I want you to ask God to help you remember, okay, that through Christ, we are never defeated. We are never defeated. Well, I want to thank everybody for joining me today. I've never had 72 people in the chat at one time. That truly is a blessing from the Lord that you guys are hearing the word of the Lord. In Jesus' name, amen. I mean, I want you guys to think about this week, moving forward. Keep praying for my grandson. Keep bringing your problems to the Lord. Understand that we're going to take a loss. We take a loss on different levels all the time. You know what I mean? All the time. I want you to think next time you take a loss, you know, how you're going to deal with it, how you're going to move forward. And also, is it even a loss? That's the main one. When you take a loss, I want you to think, is it even a loss? I will be back next Sunday. Like I said, man, keep thinking about your salvation. Keep bringing your problems to God. Always come to God first. Keep praying to Jesus Christ, your Savior. Jesus Christ came to the planet. He came to earth and he walked the planet. God manifested himself in human form, walked the planet, okay, and died for your sins. I mean, I don't think there's anything more powerful than that could ever be. I want everybody to pray on everything. God bless you guys, all right? I'll see you guys next